What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in a building with another banger. Now, first things first, before we go ahead and get started today, I gotta go ahead and say thank God for another day and another opportunity. Now, as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm gonna be bringing y'all a very special catfish build in NBA 2K24 on next gen. Now, this build today, it's going to be reminding me of NBA legend Horace Grant, and the build name is actually going to come out to an Inside the Arc Maestro build. Now, we're going to be making it at the height of 6'11 today, and as for the takeovers, the main ones that acquired to this build are going to be the slashing, playmaking, and rim protecting. Now, as far as for these attributes, the ones that can reach a 100 plus with attribute boost, your takeover, and boost from gear. That's going to be the standing dunk, close shot, pass accuracy, interior defense, block, and also our defensive rebound. Now, as far as for animations on this build, we're going to get elite big man contact dunks, and as far as when it comes to our badges, we're going to be able to get Hall of Fame Pro Touch, Break Starter, and Special Delivery with at least 15 extra gold badges and 15 silver. So look, before we get any further into today's video, if it's your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and last but definitely not least, comment down TG for thank God King Jesus and where you're tuning in from, and I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with a response. Now, the first thing that you want to do on this build is put it under the power forward position. As for the height, I'm going to go with 6'11", 229 for my weight, and then for that wingspan, I decided to go ahead and put this to 7'5". Now, if you follow these steps, we're all set to move forward, and keep in mind, with every attribute on this build, that's a minimum threshold to reach the next tier, whether it be an animation, badge, anything. So the first area that I do want to get into today is going to be the finishing. So as far as for the close shot, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to an 80. Moving on to the driving layup, I'm going to go with the 53. And then as for when it comes down to our driving dunk, put this to a 73, and that right there will give us the posterizer badge once we do upgrade our physicals. Now, for the standing dunk, I think this is going to be essential for all my big men out there. Go ahead and put this up to a 90 with a 70 post control. Now, we will come back later for the badges, but I'm telling y'all, the physicals are the most important category of this build. So let's go ahead and get into the mid-range shot. I'm going to go ahead and put this up to an 82. As for the three-pointer, leave it as is. And then for when it comes to the free throw, I decided to go ahead and put this up to a 75. Now, this build on the shooting end, you're going to be a real threat for the mid-range. Now, with that being said, you're also able to post up, which gives us an even better boost from the mid-range. Now, for the playmaking side of things, I'm going to go ahead and put my pass accuracy all the way up to a 92. As for when it comes to the ball handle, leave this at a 57. Same thing for the speed with the ball. Now, once we get into the defensive end, I'm going to go ahead and put my interior up to an 82. As for when it comes to the block, I'm going to go with a 93. And then moving on to the offensive and defensive rebound, go ahead and put the offensive up to a 78. Moving on to the defensive, I'm going to go with an 85. And this right here is going to allow us to complete the build on the defensive end for attributes. Now, the final area that we do need to get into is going to be the physicals. So go ahead and put that speed up to a 66. Moving on to the acceleration, I'm going to go with the 53. As for the strength, I'm going to go with an 84. And then moving on to our vertical, I'm going to go ahead and put this all the way up to an 80. And then to wrap everything up for the stamina, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to a 95. Now, as you can see, we have all of the badges upgraded and complete. Starting from the top down, look, we get a good amount of silver badges for this build, especially on the post scoring end. Now, when you take a look at also, we're able to get a lot of gold badges. Now, the main thing for the finishing, my favorite badge is definitely going to be Posterizer. We have a lot of finishing badges that are going to help us out, like Rise Up, Aerial Wizard, and Precision Dunker. I even like Fast Twitch, and I think for the post control end, we have some good badges to work with as well. Now, the shooting, look, we get Blinders, Catch and Shoot, Green Machine, Post Fade Phenom, a lot of post scoring badges with Midi Magician. I think it makes the perfect 1v1 build, and you can even consider this to be a small ball center. Now for the playmaking end, you already seen from the gameplay just how well I was able to dribble. We get badges like Gold Dimer, Needle Threader, Post Playmaker, Relay Passer, pretty much everything that you can need to take this build into a 5v5 game mode. As for the defensive end, I like Gold Anchor. We're also going to be able to get Chase Down Artist and Pogo Stick, Box Out Beast, and then for that defensive rebound, I think this sets the build up perfectly, not only to be an anchor for your team, but be able to snag over just about anybody with this 80 vertical. Now this is what the build is going to be looking like. Now remember, we get a +4 put towards our physicals, and the number one thing that I think everybody needs to take into account, you get a +10 from your takeover boost. Now on top of that, we're also going to be able to buy our own, which is a +4 to 5. Now if you also take into account the boost that you get from gear, that's at least a +15 to 20 towards this build. So let's go ahead and move forward to make sure that we made it correctly together. And if you followed every single step of the way, we should be getting these 3 comparisons. Number 1, Legend Horace Grant. And now as y'all can see together, we have created the first and best Catfish inside the Arc Maestro build in NBA 2K24 on next gen. Now let me know right now your thoughts and opinions down below. Are you going to be creating this build exactly how I brought it to y'all? But this is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best Catfish post scoring builds in NBA 2K24. Now as for this build maxed out, here's what we're going to be looking like. Just something to take into account moving forward. But I think this is one of the best dominant big man builds to use this year, especially that we do get a rare build name, makes it all the better. Now look, thank y'all for those of you who made it this far into the video. More so than anything, thank God for another day and another opportunity. And if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the rich family, and last but definitely not least, comment down TG for Thank God King Jesus and where you're tuning in from, and I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with the response. And with all that being said though, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.